Hey, if you're trying to buy a house right now in Atlanta, you're probably hearing the same neighborhoods over and over again. Grand Park, East Atlanta, Kirkwood, West Midtown. And I get it. These are great neighborhoods. I have sold houses in these neighborhoods. But let's be honest, a lot of those areas have already gone through their glow up and the prices are going to reflect that. So in this video, I'm breaking down Atlanta neighborhoods that I think buyers should be watching right now, and not because every street is magically amazing, but because they have that smart mix that buyers should be paying attention to right now. Location, access, investment activity, affordability, and the signs of future growth. And listen, this is not me telling you to run out and buy the first cute bungalow that you see on Zillow, because Atlanta is a block by block, street by street, sometimes house by house kind of city. And so this is your starting point, not your final answer. So let's get into it. Hey, I'm Christa Coore-Powell, your Atlanta property pro and real estate insider, and a local realtor helping buyers and sellers and relocators make smart moves when it comes to real estate in the Atlanta metro area. Now, we talk about what listings do not always tell you, the neighborhoods, the numbers, the lifestyle, and real life things you need to know before buying or selling your home in Atlanta. And so today we're talking about the 5 up and coming Atlanta neighborhoods to buy in right now in May of 2026. I'm focusing mostly on in-town and closed-in neighborhoods where buyers may still be able to find some approachable price points as compared to some already more well-established hotspots. And one thing I want to say up front, up and coming does not mean cheap forever. It also does not mean guaranteed appreciation. It means there are signs of growth and opportunity, but you still need to do your homework. Atlanta overall is sitting around an average home value of $387,752 as of April 30th, 2026, according to Zillow. And values are down about 3.6% year over year. So this is a market where buyers have more room to negotiate than they did a few years ago. And so the best neighborhoods are still going to depend heavily on your budget, your goals, and of course, your timeline. So number 1 is Chosewood Park. So if you've been watching the south side of the Beltline, Chosewood Park needs to be on your radar. This neighborhood, it's just south of Grand Park and Zoo Atlanta, and so it's already a huge location advantage because, I mean, that's proximity to everything. You're close to Grand Park, you're close to Boulevard, you're close to the south side Beltline Trail, you're close to areas where Atlanta is really putting a lot of money into investing and attention. So you're not too far from a lot of the entertainment and development that's happening around the Mercedes-Benz and downtown area, but just far enough away to not necessarily be in the heart of where everything is, but close enough that it's there when you want to be there without costing you a $60 Uber ride. Now, another reason why Chosewood is really doing great right now is because of the Beltline activity. So, Atlanta Beltline celebrated the opening of the Southside Trail segments 4 and 5 in April of 26, and so that's now called the Southeast Trail. That's the section that's going to run from Boulevard to Glenwood Avenue. So you're getting into DeKalb County from what would be considered East Atlanta. So that's a pretty big section of town. And so that's going to be connecting neighborhoods like Grand Park, Ormwood Park, which is an amazing neighborhood that if you know about Ormwood, you know, Boulevard Heights and Glenwood Park. So there's a lot of variety even in that area. So that's part of what makes Chosewood really interesting, that it's now connected to a lot of these very popular, very desirable areas. And this, of course, matters because it's going to make an area feel more connected and impact how people are going to utilize those areas. So it can bring more foot traffic, more retail interest, more lifestyle appeal, and more buyer attention. So therefore, these are going to be the kinds of factors that make the glow up happen to a neighborhood and increase your property value long term. I can never predict what that's going to look like because I don't have that crystal ball just yet. When Amazon starts to sell them, I'll get one. But in the meantime, these are the kinds of things we want to look at for what is the future growth and development of an area. So Chosewood Park is not a secret. It's been growing. People have known about it. But if you're going to compare it to neighborhoods like Grant Park or Ormwood Park, there's still a lot more accessible price points in Chosewood Park than you may be able to find in Grant Park or Ormwood. Zillow actually shows that Chosewood Park's average home value was around $374,129 as of April 30th, 2026. And that's down about 7.5% over last year. So right now is a good time to buy because the prices are kind of settling a little bit after the 2020 to 2022 insanity. And that dip is really important for you as a buyer to pay attention to, because up and coming neighborhoods with recent price softness can sometimes create opportunities, especially for buyers who are not trying to flip next month and actually plan to hold the home for a while. And so what I would look for here would be homes that are close to trail access, streets with visible renovation activity. You want to see stuff getting fixed up. Properties that need cosmetic updates, but not major scary structural issues, like the foundation is solid, no termites. Homes that still have enough upside compared to nearby neighborhoods. And I do not necessarily always recommend buying the cheapest house in an area like Chosewood Park. Look at the street, look at the lot, the surrounding homes, and what's already in planning nearby. Cheap is not always the same thing as smart. So next up, number 2 is Capitol View and Capitol View Manor. So these are neighborhoods that are on the southwest side of Atlanta near the west side trail of the Beltline. And that's gonna be close to neighborhoods you may have heard of that are a little more popular, like Adair Park, Pittsburgh, Oakland City, and the Lee and White area. This is one of those parts that people of Atlanta who are newer to the city may not really grasp why this location is a good idea just yet. But here's the thing. You're not far from downtown. I mean, you're real close to downtown. You're not far from the airport. Like, your airport proximity is amazing. And you have MARTA access, which I think as the pain of Atlanta's traffic continues, MARTA is going to become more and more popular. And I do think MARTA access is something to consider as younger generations lean more and more into public transportation and are less into having like the fanciest car and the commuter, like the car commuter lifestyle. I think that's something really important to keep in mind, that the MARTA is kind of restricted in where it is in Atlanta. So having MARTA access is really attractive. And you're also close to the Beltline. So you're ticking lots of boxes with this particular area. And depending on the pocket, and that part's important, you can still find some really, really charming older homes with a lot of character. This is not a cookie cutter neighborhood. Not everybody looks the same. There's a lot of variety. And so it's another reason why I always tell buyers, drive the neighborhood, take a look around. So Capitol View's average home value is, this is a deal, around $296,789 as of April 30th, 2026, according to Zillow, and that's down around 9.8% over the last year. So this price point's important because in Atlanta, once buyers start getting priced out of already hot neighborhoods, they're gonna start looking nearby. And this is where neighborhoods like Capitol View really are becoming very attractive. The buyer who says, I want Beltline access, I want character and proximity to the city, but I do not have $600,000, this is where they're gonna start to look. And I wanna be really upfront with you about the area. Capitol View and Capitol View Manor are not neighborhoods. And this applies to a lot of the areas we're talking about on this list. You need to drive it. You need to check the commute patterns. You need to look at nearby commercial corridors, street conditions, and what kind of renovations activities happening around that specific house. But for buyers who are open-minded and strategic, this is one of those areas where I think you could really gain some equity, and you should definitely be paying attention. And if you are looking at Capitol View, compare it to places like Adair Park, Oakland City, and Pittsburgh, because those are all really close by, and you want to understand not just the house, but like the neighborhood pattern around it. Okay, so next up, we're talking about Pittsburgh. And no, not Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Atlanta. Atlanta natives, like people who were born and raised, Grady babies, are gonna think this is hilarious because Pittsburgh used to be a very challenging place to live. But I would say that this part of Atlanta overall, not just the pocket that is Pittsburgh, but overall has changed dramatically and is continuing to do so. Pittsburgh's big win, the thing that makes it amazing, is really where it sits. The neighborhood is south and west of Peoplestown, which is another amazing location. It's really close to the Beltline Southside Trail. It's close to Summerhill, Mechanicsville, Adair Park, and Pittsburgh Yards area. So like the amount of development, even in the last 3 to 5 years in this area, it's so central. Like, location is where Pittsburgh is winning every day of the week. It has proximity, it has a lot of redevelopment energy, and it had a crazy period, I'd say, in the that same COVID window, 2020 to 2022, but the pricing there has really leveled off, I think, nicely. And we're looking now, let's look at my notes. Average home value, according to Zillow, it was around 246,529 as of April 30th, 2026, which makes it down 10.3% over last year. Now, before you freak out, let's talk about what that means. Down 10% means, oh no, I should avoid it. If you are an investor and you're trying to flip this house, yes, it's not the neighborhood for you. But if you are looking for long-term upside, you're looking for an in-town location, and you have the patience to deal with the environment while it changes, the price drop could mean that there's room for you to negotiate. And so that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buyer dollar. So you should definitely not see price drops in neighborhoods as a bad sign. What you need to look at is the bigger picture of what story the market is telling. And that's where an agent who understands those things comes in for you. Now, it's not for every buyer. Some streets are going to be more active than others. Some homes are going to need serious work. There are homes in that area that are easily 100 years old. And you're going to see a mix of renovated homes, vacant lots, older properties, and new construction. It really is, in this particular moment, a hodgepodge. Like, it is the active changing period as we speak. But that's what up and coming looks like. That's what happens before the polish, before it starts to look expensive. Before it becomes the neighborhood, that took some time. And if you're trying to get the most value, that's where you would go. That's what you would need to do. It's near a lot of the redevelopment corridors. And I'd say something important for Pittsburgh in particular, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, is that inspections matter a lot. Do not just look at the pretty pictures. You really need to make sure that you're getting maybe even some extra inspections done, because, as I said, a lot of these are older homes, and cute countertops are not going to fix things like HVAC and foundational issues. So that's really important to keep in mind. So neighborhood number 4 is Grove Park. Grove Park is somewhere I think that's been getting a lot of attention for a while, and that's going to be because the West Side Park area, which is Atlanta's biggest green space now, and the Beltline expansion are all happening right there. So you're really getting access to a lot of the big stuff that's happening on the west side of Atlanta, and still at a price point that's very, very doable. It's a neighborhood where there are a lot of ingredients that buyers tend to look for. There's green space, there's city access, there's Beltline proximity, there's a lot of investor interest, and relatively lower price points compared to some of the other in-town areas that are even like a neighborhood next to it. Because Grove Park is not too far from West Midtown, right there. And so what you're looking at is the homes not 3, 4, maybe 5 miles away are ranging easily in the millions of dollars. So Grove Park's average home value is around $210,473,000 as of April 30th, 2026, which is down about 10.6% over last year. That's according to Zillow. And so in 2025, the West Side Trail expanded with a new 1.3 mile segment connecting Washington Park to Grove Park, creating nearly 7 miles of continuous trail and improving the connectivity towards downtown. So that kind of connectivity is a big deal, because in Atlanta, access really does change people's perception of an area, and perception will in turn generally change demand. So Grove Park is another neighborhood where you need to be careful and be specific. It's a block by block kind of neighborhood. This is not a buy anything in your good situation. Drive the neighborhood. You want to look at how close are you to West Side Park, how close are you to Beltline access, street by street, nearby vacant lots, renovation activity, and qualify the quality of the actual home. Again, inspections are going to be a really big deal here. And so for the right buyer, Grove Park could be an amazing long-term play. So I think my insider note for this one is that Grove Park is going to be good for people who are okay being really early. This is definitely a neighborhood that's beginning. So it's not quite as active as Pittsburgh, maybe not quite as far along as some of the other neighborhoods that I've mentioned. And so it definitely does not feel anywhere close to polished, but it's definitely worth a look if you are looking at a long-term buy and hold kind of a situation, like somewhere that you're going to be for a little while. So number 5 is quite possibly my favorite, and that is going to be Sylvan Hills. So Sylvan Hills is my favorite watch this area because on the southwest side, the SWATs, people sleep on the SWATs, but there is so much happening over here. We're near Langford Parkway. We're near Lee and White. The downtown connector is really close by. MARTA access is also very easy, and it has really strong airport access because you're by a bunch of MARTA stations with free parking. So even something like getting to the airport can become really, really easy because for those of you who don't know, when you take the MARTA into Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson International, the MARTA literally drops you off at Delta baggage claim. Like, you're inside. You're not dealing with parking lots. You're not dealing with the traffic to get into the airport. None of those things. It is legitimately, in my opinion, the lowest stress way to get into the airport. Now, for buyers who are really concerned about getting to the city, so like if you work at the airport, for example, oh my gosh, that's such a good look for you. Or if you travel a lot for work, which Atlanta is a travel commuter city, that's part of why it's such a busy airport, you are definitely going to appreciate that proximity to the airport because you may not have to drive then. You can afford to Uber because the Uber rides are not going to be stupidly expensive. Sylvan Hills can really make a lot of sense, even if you work downtown, because again, that commute is really low stress, and anything you can do to reduce the stress of an Atlanta commute, I highly recommend. And you just have city access in general. So if you want to be close to a lot of the larger entertainment locations, State Farm, Mercedes-Benz, and so on, this is going to be a really good spot for you. There's also quite a bit of affordable housing activity that's happening around there and like affordable purchasing activity. So for first-time home buyers, there is a lot of access that's happening there. You're close to things like Tyler Perry and some of the movie studios, so there's a lot happening with that as well. What else is going on there? I made notes. All of this signals investment, housing demand, and attention to the area. My Zillow numbers. So Zillow shows Sylvan Hills with an average home value around $229,772 as of April 30th, 2026, down 15.4% over last year. But what we've discussed is that means if you were an investor trying to flip a house, not a good look. If you're someone trying to get in while things are affordable, now is the time. And so it's a really big year-over-year drop. So obviously it is something you need to consider, but you're going to get good access and good long-term potential. So Sylvan Hills is really an area that I think is worth paying attention to. If you're looking for a single family home and don't need to be in the trendiest neighborhood, another good look, because you are so close to the trendiest neighborhood, and there's a lot of really cute, can you tell I'm biased? There's a lot of really cute stuff in it that is opening up in and around Sylvan Hills. So don't sleep on it because there's a lot of value to be had here as a buyer who's looking at something to grow long-term equity. I do think it's important because of all this development to pay attention to traffic and noise in Sylvan Hills, because depending on the exact location, again, block by block, you may be closer to a highway or commercial area or an airport related route. And so that is something you want to pay attention to because that same proximity to things like 285 and Langford Parkway and the downtown connector and all that stuff, amazing, but also can bring a certain amount of traffic. And so it's a large enough area that you can be close without being too close. And so again, block by block, street by street is something else you want to pay attention to. So before I keep going, I do have a question. I want you to tell me this. Are you someone who's looking for a neighborhood that's already cute and walkable, or are you looking for something where you can buy a little earlier before the coffee shops and the gorgeous murals and the $18 avocado toast? Because these are two different buyer strategies, right? Neither one's wrong. I will never tell you that you shouldn't buy the way you want to buy. But I do think that you need to know who you are because then we know where to go. And that's all we want, direction and focus. Strategy, I say it all the time. So you're gonna ask, well, how do I know as I'm going about my day-to-day and looking at stuff, how do I evaluate an up and coming neighborhood? Like, what do I actually need to be paying attention to? So let me give you some real tips. A neighborhood being up and coming does not automatically make it good buy. I know we just talked about all this stuff. I named 5 neighborhoods. There's a lot more than 5 neighborhoods in Atlanta. Please do not buy a house because somebody on the internet, including me, said a neighborhood is about to pop. Because guess what? Again, my glass ball hasn't arrived yet. Here are the things that I would look at. So first is infrastructure. Are there trails, sidewalks, parks, road improvements, or major public projects nearby? Because that is a sign that money is coming into a given area. Second, private investment. Are you seeing renovations? Is there new construction? Are small businesses coming up? Are there mixed use projects? And Atlanta loves a mixed use project. You can Google what's happening in that space and find out. So that's a really nice way to see, like, is this neighborhood worth it for me? Are builders coming into the area? The third is going to be the price gap. Now, is the neighborhood still priced lower than nearby areas with similar location benefits? So again, you're going to be comparing Grant Park to Capitol View. You are going to be comparing Grove Park to West Midtown, because two different price points, but access to a lot of the same amenities. And that's something really important to keep in mind. And next, you want to think about days on market and seller motivation. Are these homes that are sitting longer? Because that actually gives you some room to negotiate. So the fact that pricing is down and demand might be down a little bit, which is, it's like buying stock, right? You buy low to sell high. This is like a perfect example of that very concept. And the next one, number 5, is, does this fit your actual lifestyle? Because who cares if it was a good deal? If you hate it, like, if you don't want to live there, that's no good. So drive it at night, drive it at a weekend, drive it on a Saturday. Check what your commute to the activities and places you need to be would be like. Go to the grocery store, see where you get coffee, gas, food, and whatever like runs you need to make to the store. Date the neighborhood before you marry the mortgage. Date the neighborhood before you marry the mortgage. That part's free advice, but honestly, it should probably be on a t-shirt because it matters a lot. So here are my top 5 up and coming neighborhoods to watch in Atlanta right now in 2026. Chosewood Park, Capitol View and Capitol View Manor, Pittsburgh, Grove Park, and Sylvan Hills. All of these are winners for different reasons, and I think they are totally worth it for you to take a look at if you're trying to get in before the getting is super expensive and really see the increase in equity and value that buyers who are early to areas like Grant Park and Inman Park and Ormwood saw when their housing values went up. So if you're thinking about buying in Atlanta and you want to know which neighborhood actually makes sense for your budget and your lifestyle, I can help you sort through all of the hype and figure out what makes the most sense for you. Because the goal is not just to buy in any up and coming neighborhood. The goal is to buy in the right house, in the right pocket, in the right price, with a strategy that actually fits your life and what you need. So shoot me a text or make a link for a free consult, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about what is available to you here in Atlanta. And if you want more advice about buying in Atlanta, make sure you subscribe to the Atlanta Real Estate Insider. Looking forward to sharing more information with you. Have a good one. Bye.